A century-old home stands strong against the elements, while a modern house relies entirely on humming HVAC units to remain livable. Today's typical construction materials chip, dent, and rot at the first sign of trapped moisture. Older homes, built with denser materials, effortlessly weather extreme summer heat and completely block out street noise. In the mid-20th century rush to mass-produce cheap, standardized housing, the construction industry engineered out hundreds of years of brilliant, climate-responsive building science. Prior to World War II, a home served as a highly advanced passive thermodynamic machine. Look at the Southern Dog Trot House, an architectural layout developed specifically to keep occupants cool in hot, humid climates, without any electricity. The structure consists of two separate enclosed living cabins, often called pens, connected by a wide, open central breezeway and covered by a single continuous roof. This schematic shows the Venturi effect in action. Air is funneled between the solid interior walls, increasing its velocity through the breezeway. This cross-breeze draws stagnant heat out of the adjacent living quarters, pulling fresh air into the rooms. Builders relied on the physical orientation of the walls and the local wind patterns to cool the structure. The layout itself was the engine, requiring zero moving parts to operate. We see a similar mastery of physics in the American Foursquare, a pre-war design that manipulates indoor climate vertically. This cross-section illustrates thermal stratification. By building ceilings 12 to 14 feet high, architects allowed hot, buoyant air to naturally rise and pool well above the human living zone, leaving the cooler air down below. Operable transom windows placed directly above interior doors created a passive heat distribution network, letting trapped warm air circulate toward exhaust points. On the exterior, deep roof overhangs provide precise seasonal shading. They block high-angle summer sun while allowing low-angle winter sun to warm the space. Rather than relying on a centralized machine, these localized structural features formed a cohesive, passive network that actively and efficiently managed thermal transfer year-round. The materials forming the skeleton of these homes underwent an equally drastic shift. Framing lumber was harvested from slow-growing virgin forests. These old-growth trees yielded wood composed of dense, mature heartwood, naturally resisting decay and termites. Modern timber comes from fast-rotation tree plantations. Grown from maximum speed, this wood is predominantly soft, immature sapwood that rots rapidly when exposed to moisture. This side-by-side comparison shows the structural disparity. Historic timber packs 20 to 25 growth rings into a single inch, providing immense load-bearing capacity. Modern rapid-growth lumber averages only 7 rings per inch. Today's structural engineers must use complex grading math and testing metrics to ensure this weaker wood holds up to modern building codes. Traditional builders relied on the sheer, time-tested density of nature. The interior skin of the house suffered a similar downgrade. For centuries, laborers applied wet plaster over wooden lath to create a dense monolithic barrier that absorbed low-frequency sound, delayed fire spread, and breathed to prevent trapped moisture. The post-World War II housing boom required a massive acceleration in production. The industry abandoned the lengthy drying times and specialized training of traditional plastering. Instead, builders adopted prefabricated 4x8 sheets of plywood and drywall. This homogenized architectural design, as room dimensions were altered to fit standard factory boards for the cheapest, fastest possible assembly. This breakdown of a standard sheet shows another compromise. While labeled nominally as 48 by 96 inches, the boards actually measure slightly smaller due to factory trimming and sanding. The manufacturing process prioritized production speed over precise, exact fits. Standardizing these materials successfully allowed developers to build entire subdivisions in record time, but it trapped homeowners behind fragile walls that require full replacement decades sooner than plaster. We traded durability for fragile drywall, rot-susceptible wood, and houses that become immediately unlivable during a power outage. Adding solar panels and a smart thermostat to a cheaply constructed, structurally compromised box does not create true sustainability. To build resilient homes that will survive the next century, we have to rediscover the lost vernacular science of building in harmony with our environment, rather than constructing cheap walls to hide from it.